What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Andy Nguyen. I know it's been a while since I've done that. It's been a while since I made a video, and a lot's been going on. I told y'all that I was doing a transition in my YouTube channel, and that transition is still happening. But the main thing that happened was I got really important at work, unfortunately. It's something I've always wanted. When I got out of school, I wanted to be the superstar engineer, shot caller, making decisions, making things happen, solving problems, using my brain, doing all that, leading a team. Now that's happening. I'm leading my own team, but also managing 4 other teams from 3 different states. I'm doing a whole lot now, which has been rewarding, but also very demanding. For all you Gen Z out there, work-life balance for myself has been in the gutter, but I'm investing in myself in terms of doing more effort to be more visible, to progress more quickly so I can go up the ranks faster, so I can be who I think I deserve to be in the professional space. That may not be for you. I'm learning and I'm adjusting my expectations as I work with the younger generation as well. I'm a millennial, so I'm unk, but I work with a lot of Gen Z, and I have to understand what makes them tick. For me, what makes me tick is challenging myself, trying to get into situations where I always am learning, solving problems, and if I can't progress that difficulty, I get bored. And in terms of YouTube space, not that I'm the top of the YouTube space, but I made myself bored. I was making videos for the sake of making reviews. I kind of lost the spark of making videos, which is why I took an extended break. In terms of everything else, my health was going in the gutter, my stress level was really high, been overwhelmed and having trouble balancing everything. During this time while I was taking a break, I appreciate all the YouTube channel members. I appreciate all the YouTube Premium members, Discord Premium members, and the Patreon members that helped support me during this time, because I really wasn't making much content. I was just trying my best to stream, and even streaming once a week on Monday, which is a really low bar, was really difficult. I am just always working. I don't love that. I'm hoping this is a temporary phase where I'm just working a little bit extra so I can really progress my career. So that's where we're at. But with those premium members, one of the members sent us this spydertkl for us to stream. This is a really cool looking keyboard. It's a TKL old school style OTC 360 Corsa, as well as a Matrix TKLs. And you know, the Matrix boards are really hyped up and really hard to buy and really hard to justify, especially in the Q4 2025. We really don't buy expensive keyboards anymore. I know this because that TJR list dropped, as a bunch of the members entered, and then everyone won. We were trying to like give ourselves a better chance for the few people that wanted it. Everyone wants. I don't think people are really into that like $500 plus group buy board any longer. The budget space has really matured and has all these features, so people coming into the hobby have plenty of options. Stock is still going strong, affordability is going strong, screens, knobs, colors, what have you are all going very strong. This is an old school board for the OGs, and yeah, let's get into it. This was a group buy board. It was a really well-priced group buy board. With OG styling, $209 plus shipping was a great buy. Personally, however, I haven't entered group buy for a long time. I never liked the business model, and I've been very transparent about that, while also covering a lot of group buy models because it was one of the only ways for a lot of these boards to come to life. This board being one of them. This is a smaller run with a 50 unit MLQ, not a board that OwlLab or something can run. So this, I understand why you have to do group buy. I don't love everything being group buy, and I personally just didn't want to do that. The most satisfaction I got out of keyboards was buying a keyboard from extras after a group buy shipped. Personally, that instant gratification was my main deal. I do a lot of delayed gratification already with my own life, investing in 401k, saving money up, investing in my career and just focusing on that and playing the long game. But for physical goods, I'm very impatient. Things like hobby things, I want it today. I don't like waiting. And this group buy was supposed to be about 6 months, 7 months or so. It ended up being a year. We'll get into that in a minute. The spydertkl came at the tail end of the group buy craze, or came at the tail end of like the hobby in general, I think. Right around 2022, 2023, when COVID kind of settled, we were very mature in that, oh my God, these are wet hands. At the tail end of 2023 and 2024, there was no real surprises in the keyboard space anymore. I felt like at that point, group buy should have matured, but there may be real limitations that are gonna affect group buys forever, where you're not going to be able to give an estimate of X months and be able to deliver on X months 100% of the time. It's just logistics, I think. But because this came late in the game, you're not getting a board of this caliber and this quality for $500 plus group buy. Back then, a nice TKL was like $400 minimum for group buy. So not $400 in stock that you can get right away, but $400 and you gotta wait 6 months. They would say 3 months if you could get a fast group buy, but likely it'd be 6 months. This being $290 is pretty solid. Take a look at it. Got the unfinished brass at the back, big USB port, meant for a USB mini, that's the design for it. And you got big chunks, and the main thing that really makes it stand out is the brass bottoms. External weight, CNC'd, small, but that's just part of the design aesthetic. I don't mind it at all. I actually really prefer it. I like having that simple look. The buyer of this board called this a Matrix TKL cope, and I would tend to agree. This is a solid substitute for a Matrix board without the hunt for one and the cost. Oh my god, I need to wipe this down. It is very heavy, but a heavy TKL is nice. Sometimes when you step out of the keyboard space, maybe heavy isn't the best thing. Right now I bring my keyboard to the office, so I like actually having a non-brass weight 60% keyboard because it's lighter. So like I mentioned, the aesthetics of the board is a strong appeal. That side profile is very unique, or not unique, right? Maybe it's just like every other old school board. Have a little angular portion here, and then the box on wedge and the visible seam. The seam's gonna pop on more because we're using a force break mod here, and that's just reality of force break. Gonna create a little bit of space, but that's how you reduce ping and hollowness. Before I forget, talk about the specs of the board. 18.5mm front height and an 8-degree tapping angle, somewhat old school. I prefer a 7-degree tapping angle, 7.5 actually. Front height, a little bit lower if I can, but I've been getting used to 18mm front heights again. So maybe 17.5 are not that necessary, especially if it causes compromises in the sound and feel. Solid board at 18.5, good with me. In 2024, people were clamoring for this board a lot. I thought it just sounded like a cheap name, Spider, meant for the car. I don't know anything about cars, sorry, but I was like, oh, cheap TKL, hollow, whatever. But it feels really nice in hand. Like, this is probably one of the nicer TKLs I've held in a long time. I would compare it to the quality of the Gion F1. Freaking solid, heavy, making my arm feel tired. I do see the styling of the Matrix board here. I'm not too familiar with the OTD 360 Corsa because OTD was a little bit prior to my time, and I didn't get that deep into the archives of the keyboard space to really get into those boards. The OTD styling was very attractive because OTD was the first mechanical keyboard. So I get it. I get the appeal. I just like shiny things, and the dual brass weight situation here, it's really nice. I like that style of Matrix boards. The current generation Matrix boards really flies off the handle in terms of the aesthetics. Multiple materials, lights, badges everywhere, and really quirky layouts even. So I do appreciate returning to form with the more old school styling. Like this board here is very similar to the Arrows I have. Arrows. This one's a little bit lighter, bigger weight, copper. Curvier, so it looks a little bit more modern. But the Anno is pretty much not 1-to-1. They're both gonna look great with GMK Shoko. And not only is the aesthetic very classic and old school, but also the mounting. It's a top mount / O-ring TKL, wind keyless only. So if you like wind key, you're out of luck. Wind keyless allows more of the board to show, the case to show, so it looks really nice. And since you have a TKL, you can just change your right alt to be wind keys. You're not gonna be left like a fish out of water. You can use that. You can layer. I usually layer my wind key because I use a wind keyless 60 as well. The Spider CNC here is really nice. Get that close up. And the 919, it's not 918, it was a 718. Oops. 718, super nice. I do like that. A little bit of intentional unfinishedness, so it looks very vintagey, so I dig it. This won't be everyone's flavor because it looks super old, but I do appreciate it because the motherboards have too much going on. This is really well done. The edges aren't sharp, and it allows people, regular people that aren't collectors, that haven't been here for a long time, to get access to a board that has the Matrix aesthetic. And if it sounds as good as the Matrix boards did, which they didn't even sound perfect, but they're really much a collector item, then ungatekeeping the hobby is something I'm all for. The color options are unique as well. This blue is super solid. I like this. Of course, they have the OG silver. People like silver. OGs love silver. They like putting beige keycaps on silver and running that. I find it boring, but It is very popular, especially with the new silver iPhone 17 Pro. I get the appeal of silver. I have a silver iPhone 17 Pro as well. Right there, silver. So I get it. Silver is a very great canvas to use for keyboards, and you put any keycap on there. I do like having a red keycap on there, a blue keycap on there, something loud to balance out the more simple color. But you also have loud colors here that seem to look very good. I haven't seen it in person, but the offerings look cool. Anodization is clean. The only dirtiness is my sweaty hands. And the build process for this is very familiar. It's just case screws, and then you have your board. So you throw in some stabilizers, you solder your switches in on top of the plate, screw it in for top mount, and then you close it back up and you're good to go. Very straightforward. No knobs, no pogo pins, no little plastic pieces to screw in, no things that can cause failure points, no JST or ribbon cable that explodes, none of that. Return to form, basic, simple, and straightforward. I really enjoyed the build process because these days my mind capacity couldn't even handle one of those more complicated, well, fun, but complicated for the builder in case things go wrong. I love the old school build process. A JST is all I want to do, honestly. The sound and feel very surprising. I was told and warned that there was a hollow mess. Force brake mod ready to go. And we're using Cherry MX purples in here. So it's a light tactile, a little bit more tactile than a Cherry MX brown. And we have an MX black on the spacebar. MX black and spacebar is going to be very solid. Carbon fiber plate, so plays really nicely with the tactile switches. And there's nothing bad I have to say about this. We have the O-ring mount as well as the top mount. And the sound and feel, they're both generally pretty stiff because carbon fiber, top mount, all that. And the O-ring mount has a little bit more give. And normally I prefer the top mount for the solid spacebar, but the O-ring mount in this board sounded pretty solid. The spacebar sounded more solid than the top mount. I'll play the sound test from the stream so you can decide for yourself. Yo, this does sound nice. I feel like O-ring's more poppy, but I'm gonna leave it here. No. I think this is louder, but I think the O-ring's more pleasant. What do you think? I prefer the O-ring. I didn't want to do dual mount, but there's also top mount, so there's a few options, but the options are like within like 3% of each other. So options. Not like the current generation of boards that have like 10 mounting styles, which are gonna change the type, feel, and sound a lot. It is what you get. You're gonna get what you see what you get, whatever. The Cherry MX purples are a recolor of the Airco Clears. I tried vintage Airco Clears once and I really loved them. They felt great, and they still suffer from the same issues as the modern remake of the Airco Clears in that they can break GMK stems. For your expensive GMK caps, be wary. You can get the Geon stem trimmer. Divinity sells them in the description below. I haven't said that in a while. I have my affiliate link so you can buy through Divinity if it's available, or you may have to buy directly from Geon. Do that just to reduce the risk So far, these have been fine, but then again, if it cracks, just don't look at it. Who's reselling GMK today anyway, right? In general, tactile switches are going to help reduce the risk of hollowness and pinginess in those cases, and it sounds really solid here. Holding it in my hand, right? I don't really hear hollowness, so that's a great sign. This is force broken because we just did that straight from the jump. I use that Tamiya tape. I always forget because it's easy to tear with my hands, and then you don't have to use scissors, you don't have to stack them up. It just makes the process way easier. I can force break a TKL like this within like a minute or two, versus tape, like you can use painter's tape, but it's gonna take you a while. So your call as to what you want to do with your time. The PCB here is a 1.6 millimeter CEM PCB, no flex cut, so just old school, solid, reliable. I like 1.6 millimeters rather than 1.2. 1.2 is more for flex, but I don't want flex, I want good sound. And I'm willing to have some stiffness rather than dealing with flexibleness and flex cut and making it sound hollow or thin. Thin sounding keyboard, they suck to me regardless of how good they may feel to the user. That's just my preference though. So overall, I prefer the O-ring here. The Spaceway sounds better, the Alpha sound better to my ears, but you decide what you want to do with this board. But if you don't like either, don't get this board. It's gonna be a stiff, heavy board, old school, boring. Yeah, just it's not gonna be surprising anyway. What's surprising is that $290, it doesn't sound that bad. It actually sounds pretty good. About the $290, that's where there was a pain point with this board. Like I said, this was a 1-year group buy. The group buy window ended in August 31st, 2024. And there was a few delays because of logistics. It's really hard to design something over here and then ship it to China, have the manufacturer, have them do the anodization, having it shipped back here, QAQC, and shipped to customers. A lot of steps in there. And I said before that I thought the process would have been matured over the years, but it's just a logistical nightmare with anything overseas. I'm seeing that with other spaces as well. Like for myself, I'm in the home gym space. Anything home gym related that comes from overseas always has delays. It's just more expected. It's more the norm than the exception that there is a delay. There's not much we can do until you do all the manufacturing over here, but the manufacturing over here has different quality standards, has different environmental requirements, which ends up resulting in some interesting board, like some of the stuff we've seen. It's not always better. The main thing that plagued this board was the anodization issues, caused a lot of reshipping. So yeah, ended up finally shipping in September 2025. At least it wasn't an exit scam, which was prevalent in 2023, 2024, and even 2025, where runners just kind of ghost their customers and then run out. Even a modern group buy in 2024 had a delay from going from 6 months to 7 months to a year. With the group buy, the buyer actually told me he just kind of stopped thinking about it. He was just hoping it's not an exit scam, which is a sad way to think about something you get excited about, especially if a reviewer reviews it, you get excited about it, you put the money down, and then the original date comes that it was supposed to arrive and they get delayed. And then you just have to not think about it, and just when it gets there, it gets there. That's so sad. It's not exciting. It's not a hobby. And it's not unique to keyboards either. I have a machine pre-order that was supposed to be 12 months. It's going to end up being 14. I didn't actually enter the pre-order, so I'm very sneaky about it. I had a friend that I knew was buying, and I kind of knew that he would kind of pull out at the last minute. So I had him put the money down. And then at 11 months, I was like, hey, if you don't want your unit anymore, I'll take it off your hands. So I basically bought a spot from a friend, of course. And then now I'm getting it with a 3-month wait for myself. That works. I don't really condone buying spots for group buys because you're likely going to buy from a random. I don't trust randoms, so none of that. In terms of group buys don't make me happy. They don't spark joy. So yeah, but this board sparks joy. So if you did enter the group buy for this, my sweaty hand, then you'll be in good shape. But that was kind of a gamble, and it always is going to be a gamble. I don't love that. Go for group buy, go for extras, or buy something from a vendor that already has it in stock. Yeah, do that instead. There's plenty of keyboards these days. I think my main recommendation is buy things used. The buyer will take the loss because they're not going to get full value from the group buy for reselling it. So you can have stuff for way cheaper. Buy used keycaps, buy used keyboards. Don't buy used switches because people don't know how to loop. But yeah, buying used keyboards these days, very good. Well, that's the video. The spydertkl, $290 plus shipping for a group buy that took a year. The group buy I didn't love, but the board itself, pretty solid. I like it a lot. I would be happy owning this over a Matrix, of course, because I'm cheap. I don't want to pay that much money. I don't want to pay Matrix money for a Matrix board, or Matrix 2.0 anyway, or 2.0 ADD. I'm glad to be back making a video. I'll probably be making more videos. The hobbies that I have these days, I'm going back to working out. I am going to enter the snowboarding season again. I've been cycling a lot. I want to pick up golfing. And if you want to come along, let me know. I can make content in all those spaces. I love making videos. I just kind of have lost the joy in the process because it always felt like a chore and a job. I need to reset my brain so that I can have joy in living life and doing things again. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.